Good morning, Madam Suryani. My name is Ravina. I'm from DIT1B. Today I'm going to present about Houses document. The first document is purchase order. A purchase order or PO is legal document a buyer sent to a supplier or vendor to authorize a purchase. Purchase order outline what the buyer will like to purchase and how much of they will like to receive. These agreements help both the buyer and seller document transaction. Purchase orders are beneficial for both the buyer and seller. By issuing purchase orders, small business can specify what goods and services are need from the supplier and when it need by. This keeps business operation efficient and organized. It also allows the seller to ensure it can provide the goods and service requested before committing to fulfillment, giving the buyer time to plan accordingly. Additionally, purchase orders can help the buyer and seller maintain accurate details, records for auditing and financial statements. How does a purchase order work? Now that we are clear on what a purchase order is, let's walk through the process of creating one. The first one is buyer decide to order item from the seller. And next is buyer draft the purchase order and send it to the seller for approval. Next is seller receive the purchase order and confirm if it can fulfill the request. Fourth one is purchase order is approved and the fifth one is product or service fulfillment. The last one is the invoice is paid. This is the example of purchase order. Next, sales order. A sales order is commercial document prepared by a seller and issued to a customer, confirming the sale of goods or services involved in a given transaction. The document contains details about the sale, including the quantity, quality, and price of any goods or service exchanged. It also covers things like delivery date, delivery address, payment method, and any other information relevant to the terms and logistics of the sale itself. A sales order is an internal document generated by the vendor and kept on record. A sale order is internal document generated by the vendor and kept on record. This allows company to keep track of the orders they fulfill. Sales orders are most commonly used by manufacturers, retailers, wholesalers, and suppliers. This is the example of sales order. Next is delivery order. Once a shipment arrives at the destination, it needs to be cleared at customs and subsequently delivered. However, before the import activities are started, the cargo needs to be officially handed over to the importing agent. That's where a delivery order comes into play. This is an example of delivery order. There are two invoice documents. The first one is a purchase invoice. A purchase invoice is delivered to a customer by the business owner. This happens within a particular time frame as previously agreed between two parties. It acts as a proof of transaction. Next invoice is sales invoice. A sales invoice is accounting document that records a business transaction. Sales invoice provide the business with a record of the service they are provide to a client. Thank you, madam.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. Now we're going to continue with cash bill. Cash bill is used in cash transaction only issued by supplier to a customer. So maksud di sini cash bill ataupun dalam bahasa Melayu bil tunai adalah digunakan untuk dalam transaksi yang menggunakan tunai sahaja. Jika boleh dilihat pada slide adalah contoh buku tunai yang selalu digunakan oleh perniagaan yang terdiri daripada butiran seperti jenis barang, kuantiti, harga dan juga jumlah dan juga tarikh yang akan direkod di dalam buku-buku catatan pertama. Alright, next is a credit note. Credit note is used to inform customer that his or her account has been credited with the state amount. Issued by a supplier to a customer. Customer return goods to supplier. The amount written in invoice has been overstayed. Maksudnya di sini, credit note digunakan adalah untuk memberitahu kepada uh, kepada customer sama ada pulangan barang, iaitu kalau kita jual barang, pulangan jualan ataupun dalam bahasa Inggerisnya adalah return inward, ataupun kita ada terlebih charge kepada customer. Dan credit note ini berfungsi untuk memberitahu kepada customer sekiranya ada uh, kesalahan berikut. Jika boleh dilihat contoh credit note adalah pada slide tersebut, di mana mempunyai credit note ada tarikh dan juga customer, amount yang tersalah catat ataupun terlebih charge, ataupun barang yang akan dipulangkan. Okay, now we're going to continue with a debit note. Debit note is used to inform customer that his or her account has been credited with the state amount. Interest is charged to customer for late payment. The amount written in invoice has been understated. Additional charge has been issued from supplier to a customer. Maksudnya di sini, debit note adalah berfungsi untuk memberitahu kepada customer bahawa akaunnya telah dikreditkan kerana atas nilai yang dinyatakan. Dan seterusnya, interest is charged to customer for late payment. Maksudnya, faedah akan dikenakan sekiranya customer melakukan kelewatan semasa pembayaran. Maksudnya dia lewat membayar hutang tersebut. Jadi kelewatan tu akan dinyatakan di dalam debit note, dan the amount written in invoice has been understated. Maksudnya di situ sekiranya ada terkurang charge, amount tersebut akan dinyatakan di dalam debit note juga. Dan sekiranya ada pertambahan charge, iaitu terkurang charge lah, jika adanya pertambahan charge juga dinyatakan di dalam debit note. Jadi lebih difahaminya adalah debit note digunakan sekiranya ada terkurang charge, dan pertambahan charge akan diberitahu di dalam debit note. Dan juga sekiranya ada pulangan, iaitu pulangan belian, akan dinyatakan juga di dalam debit note. Okay, next is official receipt. Official receipt issued by receiver of payment to the payer for payment made by cash or check. So, maksudnya di sini, official receipt digunakan adalah untuk pembayaran itu disahkan sama ada melalui cash ataupun check. Jadi, sekiranya ada berlakunya transaksi, official receipt ini ataupun resit rasmi ini digunakan untuk pengesahan sama ada transaksi itu berlaku dalam tunai ataupun nombor cek. Sekian, terima kasih.
Hi, my name is Aisha binti Asrin. I'm from the 81B, and my matrix number is 068021S2010. So today I want to talk about payment vouchers. So payment vouchers is a type of vouchers basically analyze the business transaction from the accounting standpoint and is used for the recording purpose. So payment vouchers are commonly prepaid by accountants on the basis of submitting vouchers and approved by a different individual. So they further subdivide into cash and non-cash vouchers. So I want to explain about the non-cash voucher. So for you guys' information, there are two types of non-cash voucher, which is debit note and credit note. So let's talk about debit note. Okay, debit note is if a business return the goods to the supplier and the document known as debit note will be sent to the supplier. So this is known as a debit note since the supplier account will be debit to show the reduction in the amount owed to the supplier. Okay, so for the second, credit note. Credit note is there are cases where goods previously purchased may be returned by the buyer or customer, and then the document known as a credit note then will be sent to the buyer. So it's known as credit note because the buyer account will be credited to show the reduction in the amount it owes. So let's look at the example for a debit note. Okay, if the question is like this, receive a debit note from Syarikat Amin for purchase on the date of 100 ringgit. So the conclusion is we must debit the purchase and credit the Syarikat Amin. So you must be wondering why we have to debit the purchase, right? So as explained earlier in the debit note, it happens when there is shortfall for purchase. Okay, so let's look at the second example for credit note. So if the question is receive a credit note from Syarikat Amin 270 ringgit, and the conclusion is we must debit the Syarikat Amin and credit the purchase return, because as we know a credit note will apply when if there is a return of goods. So the last is this is an example for voucher, debit note and credit note. Okay, so the second is about memo. Okay, memo is a document commonly used to record a transaction that takes place between a business owner and business. Okay, the memo serves as an internal document issued by the business owner to the recording in the business accounting book. So, in the right in my presentation, this example for memo vouchers. Okay, the example. Okay, if the question is withdrew the cash for personal use, 200 ringgit, alright? So we must debit the drawing and credit the cash. Okay, so let's move on with the check. Okay, a check is a negotiable instrument instructing a financial institution to pay a specific amount of a specific currency from a specified transactional account held in the drawer's name with that institution. Okay, so for more easier to know what is the meaning of check, okay, so check is transaction in our book account business, and it is more easier for us to know our in and out our own money business account. So that is for check. Okay, so let's look at an example for check. Okay, for the first question, paid postage by check 150 ringgit, and the conclusion is we must debit the postage and credit the bank. Okay, for this, if you can see, the position of bank is at a credit position. So this is the result in the bank in the business account bank will decrease. Okay, so let's look for the question 2. Nadia settled all her debt 550 by check. So you must debit the bank and credit Nadia. So this one is different from the previous one because when the bank is on the debit, then it will increase our bank account. So this is an example for check voucher. Okay, so that's all from us. Thank you for listening to our presentation.